It's time to get kung fu fighting. Let's do our spoiler-free review of Batman: Soul of the Dragon. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and we've got our spoiler-free review of Batman: Soul of the Dragon. Now, when we do reviews here, the better we like the film, the less likely we are to give you spoilers for it. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this romp into the 1970s, so this will be a spoiler-free review. I really want to see you enjoy this movie, and I don't want to take anything from you. So sit back and enjoy this breakdown. Now before we get started, I wanted to remind everybody to hit like and press subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment if you want to get in on our big 2021 contest. We're giving away this PlayStation 5. All you have to do to get entered in this contest is be a subscriber and leave a comment. Also, as we break this down, check out the link to the film down below. This one's definitely worth buying. So, like we said, Batman: Soul of the Dragon is something new to DC animated movies. Not only is it an Elseworlds feature, it's set in the 1970s and stylized to fit the era. Now this Elseworlds film comes to us from Bruce Timm and his production crew, and they had a ton of leeway to put this thing together. In case you didn't know, Bruce Timm has a long-running love for 1970s kung fu movies like Enter the Dragon and pop culture exploitation similar to Luke Cage and some of the blaxploitation films of the same era. It's all on full display here. Now this is a Bruce Timm film through and through, with all the good stuff that goes with that. That lifelong love for these kung fu movies and the pop culture exploitation is brought to life in a way that both remains true to the source and respectful to people. Bravo! Now, this is a little different than most Batman movies, because it's not a Batman movie. This is a martial arts movie. It's well done, it's smooth, a lot of the action is lifelike, and it's totally stylized, like I said, to those 1970s era of kung fu films. Not only that, it does have an element of Starsky and Hutch. The car chases are plentiful, and it's just a ball to sit through and watch the matching of the American style of that same era in the car chases. Now the animation in this film is more than a little solid. The style is a bit different from what we've seen in other DCAU movies, but it still works, and kind of feels like a new era. It's smooth, well colored, and does a good job of bringing the 1970s to life. High collars and all. Now, one of the other areas this movie shines is the soundtrack. Not only do we get quite a few very James Bond musical numbers, the 1970s disco jams that are felt throughout this movie are quite perfect. More than one time I found myself bobbing my head right along to the music. Now, this is an R-rated cartoon, and it's probably for good reason. Unlike most animations, it's got quite a few adult themes, including prostitution. They don't skimp on the bad language, and racism is actually somewhat prevalent throughout the film, so it's all something people need to be conscious of going in. I'm not going to call anybody out by name, but literally nobody in the voice cast does a bad job. Every single part's brought to life in a way that's quite believable, fit the era, and made me excited for the characters. Now really, the four main characters in this movie are Bruce Wayne, Richard Dragon, Lady Shiva, and Bronze Tiger, but there is a laundry list of DC martial artists throughout the film. Obviously we get O-Sensei, but we've also got Jade, Rip Jagger, Lady Eve, and even King Snake make appearances in some capacity in the film. And quite honestly, all those parts work. Bruce Wayne is prominent in this movie, not Batman, and we actually focus quite a bit on Bruce over the Caped Crusader. We learn a lot more of Bruce Wayne's path in this film than I think any other movie ever made. We're talking about Batman Begins level origin details. We actually don't get to see Batman until about the 25-minute mark, and that's only a glimpse until we see him in the third act, so be prepared. We were told this movie wasn't a Batman-focused movie, and it isn't. Like we said, this is a martial arts movie featuring DC Comics' biggest kickers and choppers. Richard Dragon is the true martial artist of the film. Not just a fighter, and totally different from the comics. Yes, he's been fully visually reimagined to look much more like Bruce Lee, but you really won't notice it very much. Now, we're not going to give any spoilers, but there is another character that may remind you of the original Richard Dragon, and you might have a couple problems with it. I'm going to go ahead and give you a clue to that, but not tell you much more. Like we said, Richard is the true martial artist. And right away in the movie, you figure that out. He's not the kind of guy seeking trouble and absolutely knows how to deal with morons and bullies. He's also been somewhat reimagined in this film as a combination of Bruce Lee and James Bond. which completely worked for this feature. Now, the two quote-unquote baddies in the movie are still, well, bad, but mostly the commonality in everybody's past keeps them working together. Maybe just out of honor and respect, but that's pretty perfect for a martial arts movie. Lady Shiva is cool, calm, and collective, and completely encompassing the position of best martial artist in the DC universe. And she's simply a maniac. She's deadly in every way possible and always seems to have something to say. It's pretty interesting in the movie because you will pick up that Bruce has a high level of respect, and he is pretty much scared of Shiva at this point in his career. Now, Ben Turner, aka Bronze Tiger, is absolutely right out of the 1970s black exploitation films, and a total butt-kicking badass. If you're unfamiliar with Bronze Tiger, you will respect him and his abilities before the end of this movie. Quite honestly, he was kind of the highlight of the film overall, and it's pretty awesome to see this character get such a highlighted role. All four of the primary martial artists in this movie are pretty much displayed as equals and given equal time. Like we said, this is not a Batman movie. Kobra, as the villain, was well suited and fit all the means for the story, but I didn't really find it too exceptional as an organization. But I will say, the individual martial artists were great on screen, and it was pretty refreshing to see so many classic, old-school DC martial arts characters developed by Denny O'Neil finally get brought to life in some form, even if it's just animation. Now, the end of the film leaves us very, very open to a sequel. No spoilers, but let's just say it was very much a The Adventure Continues type of ending. Now, I totally love this film, and had a blast watching it. It was like being 8 or 9 years old when most of those classic 1970s Hong Kong productions started rerunning in various incarnations of Kung Fu theater across the United States. As a matter of fact, keep a close eye in one of those early Shiva scenes and you might actually see Bruce Lee himself. I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I had an absolute ball watching it, and I have to recommend you check it out too. Don't forget, we've linked it down below, and it's a great place to pick up your own copy. Well, that's all we have for now. Make sure you let us know what you thought of the film in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.